And everything while I get my face on. Okay, start with a blank slate here. Nice dark natural environment. And let's do this as a live class. Hi, everybody who's live. Okay, I think that's enough time to let the stream wake up. Let's do a mic check. Make sure everybody can hear me okay. Oops, unless, of course, my face falls off again. Where is my audio line? Okay, good, strong connection. Good. I think we're ready to do this. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome to Teaching Tilt Brush. And today's Teaching Tilt Brush, we're going to be playing with fire and smoke. Because what most people don't realize, Tilt Brush deals with fire and smoke in very similar ways. In the real world, they're very different. But here in Tilt Brush, we're going to see how painting with light affects how you paint your sketch. So we're going to start with the fire brush, and I'm going to make it fairly big, and we're going to go for a nice fire color, a nice bright orange. Now, when I paint with fire, I'm painting a light. So whereas a normal brush, we have our textured brushes, our shaded brushes, that cast shadows, that has light and shadow effects. When you're painting with just light, like the light tool, or the fire tool, it doesn't have shadow and it's not affected by the environment's light. If I just paint a little bit, we get some fire. If I paint over and over at the same place, you can see how it gets brighter and brighter. The core is now turning white, whereas simple separate fire, we have the bright orange, but a lot of repeated fire actually starts getting whiter and brighter. Each time we add another stroke, we are adding more light to that location. And that light adds together, gets brighter and brighter. If I start with a very dark value of orange, look at that, I'm turning it almost all the way to black. I'm still painting with light. Even though it's very little light, when I paint the stroke, we still see the orange flame. Not as many, not as intense. As before, if I start painting the same fire in the same place over and over and over, you can see it's doing the same thing. It's getting brighter and brighter. It doesn't have the same white quality, but it does get brighter and brighter to the point where it's now a solid yellow mass, whereas this is becoming a solid white mass. If I add to that bright and just keep painting more and more, you can see how the core here is a solid white. The core here is a bright version of that dark yellow. So painting with light, the more light you paint, the brighter and brighter it gets. Whether your light is the fire tool or the standard light tool, you can see here I am with the light tool in a dark light, starts off dark, but the more I paint over it, let's get a different size light here, the more I paint over it, it starts picking up that paler and paler core. So even though I painted this with the darkest orange, it still has the pale core, painting with light, whether it's the light tool or the fire tool. What people don't realize is that the smoke tool is also a light tool. So unlike real world smoke, where you have more smoke, it gets more shadow, it gets darker, in Tilt Brush, if I start with a very bright smoke, it is very white and blinding right off the bat, even if I make it very large and just do one or two passes. You can see how it becomes very, very bright very, very quickly. If I take the smoke tool and go for a really, really dark color, you can see how it's still painting that color. If I go back and start painting more and more in the same place, yes, indeed, it gets brighter and brighter, paler and paler, as I keep painting in the same place. And now, even though I've used a dark color, the cloud smoke is a bright, glowing object. So smoke really is painting with light and not filling in with smoke. So if I go for a dark purple, it starts with that purple, but the more I paint, the more intense and bright and vibrant that purple gets. So if I want these deep, dark clouds, I'm going to go very big with a very big brush and just pass once, maybe twice. And now I've got this dark field, but you can see any parts where the smoke overlaps becomes brighter purple. So I can never make smoke get darker. Because we're painting with light, even the darkest color smoke will brighten its environment. We do a whole video on the spooky setting, so if you do want to paint a dark, spooky painting, it is possible, mostly dealing with the environment's light. But if you want to add a fog effect, bear in mind that in Tilt Brush, fog will brighten instead of darken the scene. So smoke is a light tool just like fire, and as you play with these things together, you will brighten up the whole picture, adding more and more color. But as long as you're careful, it can be helpful, it can really enhance a mood. Even if we go to a pale environment, you can see how the smoke, it adds a little purple glow. It's harder to see because the whole environment is pale, but you can see where the smoke bunches up, adds together, it does become a purple glow instead of an obscuring purple fog. So painting with light, whether it's smoke, whether it's light itself, whether it's something like fire, anytime we're using additive color, anytime we're using additive light, even if you use the darkest setting possible, it'll still make your environment brighter, because that's what painting with light does. Hopefully this has been helpful, and will show you how to use some of these tools a little more creatively. If you're trying to get certain conditions and the tool just isn't doing it for you, well, maybe that tool doesn't work that way. And smoke is one of those tools that does not work the way people always expect. We got a lot more lessons coming, so subscribe if you'd like to be notified when they happen. We do this every week, Sundays, live on twitch.tv.shamelessmayhem, but they're also recorded on youtube.com/shamelessmayhem so that you can always keep track of what's going on. Have fun with Tilt Brush, and we look forward to seeing you in more lessons.